Well, what do you say, guys? It's conference championship weekend, and that means it's time to look at the best conference in college football, even though I have some thoughts on that as far as this season goes. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media coming at you with my 2020 championship preview and prediction. Number one, Georgia Bulldogs. And number 14, the LSU Tigers. The Tigers. Yeah. First of all, and we'll break down the game summary on ESPN. We'll talk to some of the players. We'll give a score at the end. I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed. Like, this is, let's just call it what it is. I hate it. I really do. I think a lot of people, unless you're a Georgia fan, you hate this game. Because you want a conference championship to be close. You want it to be competitive. You want it to be something special, right? Georgia, I can't even believe I can say this. They're the best team this year. This year and last year. Now, they're going to fall off, of course. And I'm going to be right back in it. But this year might be back-to-back for Georgia. I'm not predicting that. But unless they lose this game somehow by a miracle and in a blowout, they're in the playoffs. Kirby Smart is building a couple-year now, he's not working to build a dynasty. I mean, everyone wants to build a dynasty. He's not building a dynasty at Georgia. He's building something, but he just got started. He just won a title last year. We got to see if he can continue that. He brought a lot back. He also lost a lot, but he brought a lot back on the offense, which has helped this year. They recruit at a phenomenal level. God, that hurt. I'm just going to be open and honest here, folks. I don't hate Georgia. I don't hate Georgia fans. You know, Chess Hall used to be my best friend. He's a Georgia fan. You got Uncle Lou out there. You got people in this community at Ballard Sports Media and Georgia Bulldog, Will and Jacob Watson. I mean, I could keep going down the list. Big Dog Brett and Trenches. Miss you, Trenches, if you're watching this, sir. I hope you're doing okay. I don't hate Georgia. I don't hate Georgia fans. But for some reason, I have to hold my tongue on saying something about them. I don't know what it is. I can't help it. I guess I know what it is. And this is what I want to clear up before we actually preview the game. Georgia fans think they are the new Alabama. They're the next Alabama. Alabama hasn't left. Now, Georgia's working really hard to try an Alabama wannabe, but they're not there yet. They got one national title, one SEC title under Kirby Smart. Slow your roll. That being said, let's get into this game. I said what I said. You can hate me for it. I don't care. That's just how I feel. I know to some of you out there, my feelings don't matter. Same for your feelings towards me. They don't matter. All right, let's just look at this game. Georgia hosting LSU in Atlanta, the SEC title game, 2022. This is this Saturday, December 3rd. We're finally in December. Christmas is here. Let's go. What better way to get it started with conference weekend? This Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, right? You look at the spread. it does favor Georgia big time. Big time. And I don't blame them. 17 and a half. 17 and a half. Now, I don't think Georgia can cover that, though. That's the thing. Like, I get the spread, I get the line. I don't know if Georgia can cover it. I think it'd be maybe a 2-touchdown game. We'll see. I don't know about 17. At least 17 and a half. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here to break this down. That's why we're here to look at the numbers. That's why we're here to kind of get an in-depth look at what we're dealing with this Saturday. Georgia is undefeated and in the SEC East, 12-0. Well-deserved. They've worked their butts off. You got Stetson Bennett, who's got over 3,000 yards throwing, a 67 completion percentage. He has thrown 6 picks. He has taken 7 sacks. He has thrown 16 touchdowns. He's done good. He's done questionable. He's done a little bit of bad. But overall, he is their leader. They respect him. And I respect Stetson Bennett too. Do I think he's ready for the NFL? Absolutely not. But is he at least good enough to lead a college football team like Georgia? Yes, he is. And he's proven that time and time and time again. The lead rusher for Georgia, Kenny McIntosh, 123 rushing attempts, 654 yards. He averages 5.3 yards a carry. He's got 8 touchdowns on the year, leads the team in touchdowns. You got Dejuan Edwards, Kendall Milton, Branson Robinson, a couple different running backs you could look at. And who knows if they get time this Saturday. I'm not sure. I think Georgia would have to really be up big and put guys in. Let's look at the receiving side of it. Brock Bowers, the tight end, who I love Brock Bowers. I really do. I think he's phenomenal. He's NFL ready. I mean, he could be a top 10 draft pick coming up. He's got 46 receptions, 645 yards. He averages about 14 yards a catch. Holy crap. 78 is his longest. 5 touchdowns for Brock Bowers, right? Compare all that, and we'll get to the defensive side soon. But compare that. Let's go ahead and look at what LSU brings to the table. Jaden Daniels transfers from Arizona State, leads the team in passing yards as a quarterback, of course, 2,566 yards. He leads the team in rushing. They don't have a run game. Their run game is their quarterback game. Jaden Daniels leads the team in rushing yards at 824. Dual threat guy. Always wants to go out and run the football. Nothing wrong with that. He does throw it quite a bit too, but maybe not that to the point we give him credit for it. Malik Neighbors is their lead receiver with 58 receptions, 726 yards. He averages 12 and a half a catch. His longest play of 60. He's got only 1 touchdown though. Kayshon Boutte is another great wide receiver, highly recruited. He's only got 1 touchdown on the year. The guy that leads in reception touchdowns is at 5, Jeray Jenkins. He averages the most yards a catch at 13.8. Actually, that's not true. That's not the most, but at least most for the starters. The most is by, let me see, Chris Hilton, 15.6. Okay. But he doesn't have any touchdowns, so we're not talking about him. I'm just kidding. So I look at LSU's offense. It's not 2019, but it's not bad either. You got Jaden Daniels, a dual threat guy, can make plays, extend plays, play out of the pocket, scramble out if he needs to. He's a playmaking quarterback. and he's got wide receivers around him to help, make those plays. Mason Taylor, the tight end, has had 27 receptions, 263 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not bad at all. The defensive side, let's stick to LSU. I want to look at the defense, and then we'll get back to Georgia because we definitely got to break down their defense because they lost all this talent, and it's still one of the best. It's amazing to see. I credit Kirby Smart on that part. Micah Baskerville is a linebacker with 74 total tackles, leads the team. He has 1 sack for 6 yards. He does have a pick for 29 yards, and he does have a touchdown. That might have been a pick 6, maybe. Someone let me know. If I'm being honest, I haven't watched much of LSU. Haven't really gotten around to it. I know they always play early games, and I'm usually watching like the Big 12 or something. No fumbles for Micah Baskerville. Greg Penn III has 66 tackles, 2 defended passes, and a fumble recovery. Harold Perkins is actually the guy. He's a 5-star recruit. I think he's a freshman this year. Phenomenal guy, going to have a great future in the NFL someday. I believe that. 29 solo tackles, 30 on his own for 59 total tackles, 7.5 sacks for 58 yards. That being said, I'm not going to go through all of these guys for LSU, but I'll tell you this, defense is going to be key. Defense will be key in this game for both teams. And I think Georgia's got it. But I also think that there's some talent there for LSU, that LSU might have it too. They just might not have as much as Georgia. So Georgia's probably going to put more points up. I don't expect this to be a close game. Again, you see that the spread is Georgia by 17.5. But if there's anybody to watch on LSU's defense that could get after Stetson Bennett, can get after the receivers, can stop the run game, watch Harold Perkins, man. Watch what he's going to do. Watch what Greg Penn's going to do. Watch B.J. Ojulari and Greg Brooks on the back end. And I think they probably could be the guys that could end up giving LSU a chance in this football game. But at the same time, I mean, what do you want me to say, man? Let's scroll up here. Forget the stats, forget the players for a second. Let's break down what ESPN has to say. Georgia has an 83% chance to win. That sounds about right. They're favored by 17.5. They are scoring 38 points a game compared to LSU, who's scoring 32. LSU, I think, has it on offense to put points up in this game. So does Georgia, obviously. LSU's allowing 21.5 points a game. This is not a LSU defense that we're used to. Give Brian Kelly some time after all the defense. Give him some time and he can recruit and build defenses at LSU, but it's not good for year one under Coach Kelly. LSU is allowing 21.5 points on average. Georgia's only giving up 11. Georgia leads, and it's not even close in yards passing and yards rushing. Now, the secondary for Georgia is suspect. It's good, but it's not the best. They have allowed 191 passing yards. The run defense in the trenches is what Georgia does best. They've only given up 79 and a half rushing yards this season, right? And by the way, Georgia, I think it's fair. Well, because they did play Tennessee. I was going to say the LSU offense and how it's been. Has Georgia's defense really faced anything like it? But then again, you see down here on the screen, they did play Tennessee. So they have faced it. LSU, their last 5 games, they're 4-1. I don't know what happened in the Texas A&M game. Doesn't matter. It's a new week. Shake it off. 38-23 was the score. They blew out UAB. They struggled at Arkansas. That game basically won them the West. They mightily handled Ole Miss. And they won in overtime with a 2-point try against my Crimson Tide of Alabama. Georgia hasn't really had a close game. I mean, they beat their rival Florida 42-20. The best you can say for Georgia is at the time number 1 Tennessee 27-13. 27-13, a 14-point game. That being said, Georgia, outside of the Tennessee game, hasn't faced a test. Meanwhile, LSU's been on a roller coaster ride. I'll leave it at this, and we'll give a score prediction. As much as I want to see a good game and a close game, you know it and I know it, it's probably not going to happen. It depends on what Georgia shows up or what LSU shows up. Really what LSU shows up. Because Georgia in the past few years, they've struggled at quarterback play and offense. They seem to have it down flat this year. So now you got to look at their opponent. If Georgia's going to have it together on both sides, right, you got to look towards LSU. Are they going to have it together? Are they going to have the type of mentality that they had against Alabama? Or are they going to struggle and find a way to lose like they did against Texas A&M last week? Because there's no excuse for that, by the way. A&M is a terrible team. Terrible team. I'll go ahead and give a score prediction. I think I'm ready. Georgia should win this game big. I think it's one of those where don't be surprised if LSU keeps it close at the half. Don't be surprised about that. But Georgia's defense should play a 4-quarter game, number 1. And then you also got to look at who you trusting with the offense. Honestly, I like the run game of Georgia, and I like the receivers too. And I'm even going to say I like Stetson Bennett a little bit more than Jaden Daniels. I go ahead and I'll give you a score prediction for the SEC title in 2022. Georgia 31, LSU 14. And I think that it's one of those games where LSU could probably make it a game off the scoreboard. I don't think the scoreboard is going to indicate the performance. I do think LSU is going to try very, very hard, play very well, play very hard. They just probably will be in positions where they can't finish drives. Maybe they get a couple field goals or something. Maybe they do get more than 14 points. But I don't know. Georgia's not going to manhandle LSU. It's not going to be like a 55-0 blowout. It's not going to be like that. This isn't non-conference. This isn't Alabama of 2018. This isn't, LSU of 2019. It's none of that, but it's still Georgia, and they're dominant, and they might not be exactly what they were last year defensively, but they're still pretty darn good and one of the best. And I promise you that. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. Your score predictions, key players, thoughts on this game. Okay, let me know this too. And we're going to preview a couple different we still got a couple different championships to preview. What is the championship weekend upset this weekend? Who you going with? I think most likely it could be UNC over Clemson, but we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, I love y'all. Jesus loves you. He's got a great plan. Keep your head up. Y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy college football, and we'll get more conference championship previews coming your way very soon at Ballard Sports Media. Ballard Sports Media, checking out. Love you guys.